Now to the latest on the investigation into former President Trump involving hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Her lawyer says that Daniels spoke with prosecutors yesterday about the $130,000 payment she says she received on Trump's behalf in the final days of the 2016 presidential campaign. This comes as the former president's ex-lawyer, Michael Cohen, gave a second day of testimony before a Manhattan grand jury that's looking into the case. Cohen set up that payment to Daniels. For the latest, we're joined by NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hillyard, who joins us from West Palm Beach, Florida. Vaughn, good morning to you. So what do we know about Stormy Daniels meeting with prosecutors? And then what more can you tell us about Michael Cohen's second day of testimony before that New York grand jury?
Yeah, good morning, guys. This is significant here development, the fact that Stormy Daniels met with prosecutors, because in the case of a grand jury and the decision from a district attorney whether to bring charges against, in this case, Donald Trump or not, first you have to present evidence and also witnesses who can testify to the grand jury, because ultimately it's up to that grand jury to decide whether to vote up or down on whether those charges can or cannot be filed. So for Stormy Daniels to meet here with prosecutors yesterday in New York suggests that the district attorney is looking to present her to the grand jury. As for Michael Cohen, he wrapped up his 5 hours of testimony after 2 days just yesterday. He is really the key witness in this. Of course, he's the former fixer and lawyer for Donald Trump, who transferred that $130,000 from Donald Trump to himself to Stormy Daniels. Of course, Michael Cohen has since flipped on the former president and says that he is looking to speak the truth and hold, if it means holding Donald Trump accountable, holding him accountable.
And Vaughn, we know former President Trump, has been active on Truth Social. How's he reacting to these court proceedings? How are his lawyers looking to defend him?
Right. I think the difference between Donald Trump's defense versus his counsel's defense are two very different things. Donald Trump late last night posting on his social media account, quote, "I did nothing wrong in the, quote, horseface case." Of course, the derogatory term he's used to describe Stormy Daniels. "I see she showed up in New York today trying to drum up some publicity for herself." Donald Trump denies ever having a sexual relationship with Stormy Daniels. And he makes the case, as his counsel does, that the $130,000 was what amounted to a private contract, that he was simply trying to silence what was a defamatory story against him ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Of course, that is where this ultimately is going to come down to, if he were to be indicted, the court of law to determine whether this potentially extended to an election campaign finance violation, what amounted to an in-kind campaign contribution to improperly try to influence the outcome of that presidential election against Hillary Clinton.
And Vaughn, quickly, I want to ask you about the Georgia case also hanging over Trump. Investigators looking into whether Trump illegally meddled in the 2020 election in that state. Where do things stand there?
Yeah, there could be an indictment out of Fulton County, Georgia at any hour as well. We know that there are at least 18 targets. Potentially Donald Trump is one of those as well, as part of a widespread investigation into efforts into Fulton County to overturn the 2020 election. And we actually just got confirmation last night from our own Blaine Alexander in Atlanta that the grand jury that was impaneled there to hear testimony and evidence heard a phone call from Donald Trump in December of 2020 to the then House Speaker, pressuring him to call a special session to have them overturn Donald Trump's loss there. And so this is the type of testimony that has been presented in Georgia, but now it's ultimately going to come down to the district attorney whether she chooses to try to press charges against Donald Trump and potentially others as well.
Decision we expect possibly any time now. All right, Vaughn, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.